ESPN and the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour present the championship round finals of the New Orleans Classic, live from Fazio's Rainbow Lanes, located in New Orleans, Louisiana. Another week and another top 5 finish for talented Tish Johnson, the tour's leading money winner. For the 6th time in 8 tournaments, Anne-Marie Dugan has bowled her way into the upper echelon. 19-time titleist Donna Adamek of Apple Valley, California, has qualified 3rd this week, while versatile Nikki has nailed down the runner-up position. On top of the stack this week from Perth, Australia, after posting a 17-6-1 match play record, Carol Giannotti. Welcome to Fazio's Rainbow Lanes, located in New Orleans, Louisiana. Hi, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, along with Leila Wagner, and each and every week, the pros that are able to figure out one of the 3 sections of the lanes are the ones that usually end up in the championship round. This week, you had to solve the puzzle from the foul line to about 15 feet.
Well, that's right, Denny. The players look for the ball reaction in the first 15 feet of the lane, the middle of the lane, and the back end. The first 15 feet of the lane this week hooked very early, causing the players to move very deep inside to about the 4th arrow. This is usually not conducive to good scoring or very good carry.
So you mean a game of 200 might win a match here tonight? Oh, I'd love to see that. You know, I've talked about that through the years. What's wrong with having to make spares and make good pocket shots to win tournaments?
Well, absolutely nothing. And if the players that could do it are here tonight, those top 5 players have excelled on all types of conditions, even the toughest ones. They share 190 television appearances between them.
Pull up a chair quickly, because we've got 2 players in a heated race for Player of the Year and Bowler of the Year honors playing each other in the opening game, Anne-Marie and Tish Johnson.
Well, unlike other sports such as baseball, Denny, where 2 teams might not meet until the World Series, 2 top players could meet all throughout the season here on our tour. And 2 of the top players contending for that Bowler of the Year race early on this year are right here in our opening match.
All right, they're all set to go here from Rainbow Lanes. Tish Johnson, Anne-Marie Dugan, ready to face off here. So things will get started quickly here tonight, Leila.
Well, not only are these 2 players the early front runners for Bowler of the Year, Anne-Marie Dugan is the only player to win a title from the number 4 position, and she's seated in that number 4 position tonight.
Won earlier this year at Yuba City by winning 4 consecutive matches, as Tish Johnson's opening shot on lane 19 ends up with a 6-spin.
Tish Johnson, one of 3 left-handers to make it in the match play rounds, the top 24. Tish Johnson, the left-hander, also playing very deep inside for left-handers. She's using the 4th arrow, counting from the left.
Yeah, that's nosebleed country if you're left-handed, and well, saving the wood early on here in the championship round.
The Fazios will appreciate her saving the pain on that pin.
Anne-Marie Dugan in the top 5 last week. A little disappointed with her performance in the championship round.
Anne-Marie's felt that she's been really trying too hard lately. She said last week, I felt like I was under more pressure to win and was unable to get totally relaxed, and I think she's feeling the pressure now. She's making the television championship round so consistently that they all expect her to win every time she makes it.
Left with the 4-5 to contend with, and if you throw a marginal shot from inside this evening, you're going to see plenty of splits like this.
Well, the ball deflects from that inside line, Denny. It is not driving hard in the back end, so you are going to see a number of pocket light hits, pocket splits, possibly 8-10s. The players did see them throughout the whole week.
Some of the players out there watching from coast to coast that might be a little older, perhaps 35 or older, are going to look at this condition tonight, and it's going to resemble very much the old lacquer condition, where if you throw the ball a couple 3 boards to the right, it's not going to get packed to the pocket. If you set a little bit short, it's going to hook early. If you make a quality shot, it'll stay in the pocket like that, and you'll trip out the 4-pin.
Well, in today's time, we also call it a reverse block, whereas from the 2nd arrow on out, there's quite a bit of oil, lane conditioner. You cannot send the ball right, it sails. And you just have to move in very deep, try to keep the ball between the 15th and 20th board.
Accuracy tonight will be at a premium.
Also spare shooting. These top 5 players did not miss many spares throughout the week. That's why they are here.
Tish Johnson, as you mentioned, one of 3 left-handers in the top 24, joined by Dana Miller-Mackey and Dee Dee Davidson. For Tish, she just keeps rolling along, and it was a very difficult condition this week, a challenging condition, and yet she ends up in the top 5.
She was very consistent throughout the week, Denny.
Couple of spares for Tish. She leads by 9. Donna Adamek is our number 3 seed. Nikki Giannoulias, number 2. And, of course, Carol Giannotti from Perth, Australia, leads for the 3rd time in her career.
Unlike other television appearances where we see a number of match play games, the players this week really kind of split. Tish Johnson won 12 out of 24 matches. Anne-Marie Dugan, on the other hand, her match play record was 11, 12, and 1. Take a look at the bowler track. You can see here her ball's at the 17th board at 15 feet, very deep inside. You can see there almost around the 4th arrow, coming all the way at 45 feet on the 11th board. She's got a little bit more of a swing than the right-handers do. She can send the ball a little farther right.
Anne-Marie trying to double up and gain the lead. Very good shot there, and the solid 4-pin remains.
Donna Adamek was mentioning to us that early in the week it was almost a fade back shot, and then as the lanes, well, throughout the week the lanes opened up a little bit, and it turned out you could at least go away. Here you can see that deep inside line, the ball grabbing very hard right in the back end, leaving her with the 4-pin. A good adjustment off the 4-5 that she made in the first frame.
Spare up, and anything that's on the left side of the lane for the right-handers, on the right side of the lane for the left-handers in terms of spare shooting, you better throw it firm, because if you don't, it'll hook right by.
Definitely. I saw Anne-Marie miss a 4-pin in the position round game. She missed it quite a bit to the left, and she told me that was the only single-pin spare she had missed all week.
Said she was just pleased to make it to the telecast. She was first going into the final round, had to hang on for dear life. Double bouncer here. Ball got through the heads nicely. So Anne-Marie might be utilizing a little loft to get the ball to delay a little bit in the first 15 feet.
Which is unusual. Anne-Marie is actually the only player out of the top 10 that does get the ball out on the lane. Here's a look at where the right-handers are playing. Her ball at 15 feet is on the 15th board. At 45 feet, it's also at the 15th board. But at 27 feet, it's on the 19th board.
Tish Johnson on a strike in the 3rd. And she leads by 9. A preview, perhaps, of the Bowler of the Year and Player of the Year here in our opening game. And what a quality shot for Tish. She kind of seized the moment, wanted to get that early double.
The players are really going to have to be firm, Denny, and stay very tuned to their game. Tish's shot on lane 20. 15 feet. The ball's at 18. Last time it was at 17 on 19, so she's very, very consistent. The ball at 45 feet on the 13th board. Lane 19, it was on the 12th board. Once again, she's playing the lanes relatively the same, not much difference.
With a re-rack that was caused because a pin had fallen originally. She won't be charged for that. Tish Johnson now to reset on lane 19. We want to, of course, thanks to good folks at Brunswick for the use of Bowler track here this evening. It'll be fun to chart the shots from the deep inside angle tonight for both the right-handers and the lone lefty. Tish for 3 in a row, and after dicing up the rack nicely, that was an unlucky break that the 5 didn't take out the 10.
Great ball reaction in the back end. The 5-pin just thrown right in front of the 10. Almost came out of the channel and hit it, and Tish gave it a little okay sign, like, you know I made a good shot. It was just a bad break.
Is that when the bowlers are steamed when they do that?
I think so.
Yeah.
You really,
and rightfully so.
Right. You really hit it. You made a great shot on a tough condition, and you don't get what you deserve. And we are talking about the tough lane conditions, Dave. I do want to remind our viewers that we have a lane maintenance crew, the LPBT, along with the PBA, that does come in and condition the lanes. This week, they decided they needed a challenging condition, and that's exactly what they've got.
The 19 83, Rookie of the Year, steps up, throws another nice shot on lane 20. And that's the first double of the match for Anne-Marie, and she trails by 8.
You know, many players at home, we are talking about that inside line, can think of it as shooting their 10 pins for right-handers and also 7 pins for left-handers. Anne-Marie is standing on the 35th board. That's 5 boards left of the last dot on the lane, playing that 4th arrow. That's the same shot I play to shoot my 10 pins.
Well, I, for one, love to see the players get an opportunity to use every board on the lane to try and strike and qualify for the championship round. It does become a bit redundant and boring to see them always from like 7 or 8 out to about the 2 board, and all it is a carry contest. Let's see how many boards I can open the lane up and just throw one shot after another. It becomes mindless after a while.
Well, your cream also really rises to the top. You have to be very firm at the line, stay down, and stay with the shot to play deep inside. There's just no room for error.
Excellent shot by Anne-Marie, who fits the ball between the 3 and the 10, and she trails by 10 here in the opening match in New Orleans. The championship round finals of the $35,000 New Orleans Classic are being brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. We're back live from Fazio's Rainbow Lanes, located in New Orleans, Louisiana. Tish Johnson with a 10-pin lead here in game number 1 as she steps up in the 6th frame.
Tish was telling me that since she has signed on with the Columbia staff, that it has made life a little easier for her in determining what type of equipment to throw. She said, you know, I have to throw the Columbia equipment, and I just am able now to really practice and drill up a lot of bowling balls and work with my game.
Wipe the hand off after that last shot. There's quite a bit more humidity here this week in New Orleans than the ladies have faced, and almost looked like it was either a slide at the line or that ball came off her hand quickly again, and Tish Johnson opens for the first time here in game number 1.
Nikki Giannulli has also mentioned that it was very humid, tough to hang on to the ball. You can see here she definitely came off balance. The ball either flew off or, like you mentioned, she just slid a little too long. As she looked down at her feet, it was like, whoa, I'm going to go over the line there.
Coaxing the ball to get up just a little bit, and it does on lane 19 for a strike. Tish Johnson down by 4 as Anne-Marie steps up now in the 7th frame. I would think the winner of this match would gain a little momentum, wouldn't you?
Oh, definitely. You always seem to gain momentum after winning the opening match. Also, the lanes were not conditioned coming into tonight's round. The players finished up the final 8 games of match play at approximately 1 o'clock this afternoon, so they did not touch it. It's the 3rd time this year that we've had this type of format. Once again, deep inside. She's even inside the 4th arrow. She told me she was playing as deep as the 5th arrow this week. Her husband, Pat Dugan.
Ah, a smile from Patrick.
Well, she struck. You better be smiling.
Needing a clutch double, and that was the best shot of the night by either player, and ends up a solid 7-pin.
Pack 7, usually the 4-pin flying straight back when this happens. Now Anne-Marie is deeper than she was earlier today. She was playing around the 4th. Now she's even, like I said, the 23rd board. It really goes to show you what type of talent these players have to be able to play that deep and trust the ball to the right without just winging it, as we say, all the way to the right.
And it's kind of a risky shot, too, because, as I said before, if you get it right 2 or 3 boards, you're going to leave a washout. You don't have unlimited room. You have to make a quality shot in there on both sides, right side or left side, in order to hit the pocket, and then you got to hope you're going to carry.
Well, it's very difficult, Denny, to project the ball right of the head pin in the pocket. I mean, normally we are shooting from the right side of the pocket. Now you've got to really trust the ball to the right side of the pocket, and it's very difficult for players to do that. You have to move. Somebody told me one time is to move completely, block out that the channels are there and kind of move them in a little bit, and erase the first 10 boards.
6-pin lead now for Tish Her second double. Lone mistake came in the 6th. Still a possible 233. Oh, wall shot, nearly a strike there. And these players really both have bowled a very nice game here in game number 1.
Well, we've only seen one missed spare, and we'll give Tish the credit there that it really was not an error. It probably fell off her hand due to humidity.
Let me ask you this, Leila. When you have a condition that's a challenging condition like this, does it pump you up as a player out there, or do you get to the point where you might get a little bit disgruntled and disgusted because the lanes are tough?
No, I think it would pump you up, Denny, only because of the simple fact you're never out of the match. Anything can happen. The match can turn around at any time. You can just, you know, whoever catches a double, it's not going to take a 250 or 260 to win every game, and it's not coming down to a carry contest.
And Marie trying to X again, and look at the 4-pin go back and forth. That was too good a shot to leave the 4-6.
And that's exactly what Anne-Marie said to her husband as she walked back off the approach. She said it wasn't that bad of a shot. The ball just breaking a little too sharply in the last 15 feet.
Normally when that's the case, you might leave the 4-9, but you're not going to leave the 4-6.
No, exactly. You may just leave the 4-pin. We've seen her probably trip the 4-pin off this same very shot. 4-pin wanted to go down, but it just didn't.
For Anne-Marie now, she needs a double in the 10th frame to force Tish Johnson to mark in the 10th frame. So right now, the job at hand is to get a strike here with the first shot in the 10th. Look at that, another 4-pin. This time she can't trip it out, and Anne-Marie says, you know what, I bowled a heck of a game here, and I'm going to shoot 180-something.
Well, that's what we mentioned, Denny, the way the scores are going to go.
But one of the comments that you made, and certainly it holds true here this evening, you're not out of any match. You throw 3 or 4 in a row, catch a break somewhere, trip a 4, and do this, or slap out a 10, and you can come from behind from 25 or 30 pins in a hurry. Animated this evening, and Anne-Marie's carrying on a conversation because she's now going to lose her 3rd consecutive match in the championship round.
Well, she said she really did not feel like she bowled well in the 24 games of match play. She said she felt very fortunate just to be on the telecast, but you know, this game I think she felt like she bowled very well, so she should be pretty happy with that.
Well, the strike in the 7th was terrific. Then she left a smash 7 in the 8th, and that really pretty much, I should say, was the shot that kept her from winning, I think. Would have been a whole different situation heading into the latter stages had she doubled there. So for Tish, an easy 10th frame. And you see that loose arm swing. Always nice to go up there when you know you've already won the match. Possible 212 for Tish Johnson. Who leads Anne-Marie by about a little more than 13,000 in earnings. Check these two out. Tish is first in money, first in points, first in average, first in match play record, and Anne-Marie is second in earnings, second in points, second in average, or third in average rather, and second in match play. So these are the two right now that are running neck and neck, although Tish you would have to give a little bit of an edge to right now.
What really says a lot about these players, too, Danny, is the fact that during the break, they all practiced. They wanted to stay with the way they rolled through the first session.
All right, 202 to 183. Tish Johnson survives game number 1, and we'll come back and look at our top 24 after this timeout. And with a win in this match, Tish Johnson would move to 500 in her career television match play appearances. She is now 34 and 35 overall. And 12 and 7 from the number 5 position. Opens up by kicking out the 10, but the 7-pin still stands.
You mentioned both these players meeting each other quite a few times. On our tour, they also are both from the Southern California area and meet each other quite a bit just in the Worldwide Women's Organization out there.
Yeah, we take it for granted a lot of times. These players only see each other on the national tour, but in certain parts of the country, they're competing against each other, in many cases bowling with each other as teammates in league play throughout the year. think we're waiting for Tish Johnson's ball to come back. Now, what does this do to a player, especially when you have a 1-pin spare?
Well, out here, being that it's as hot as it is for the players, it's going to cause your hand to get a little bit wetter.
Nice conversion of the 7-pin for Tish Johnson, who is fresh from a 202 to 183 victory over Anne-Marie Dugan. And Donna Adamek back in the championship round. And for her, it has been a very difficult year. Loss of her mother earlier this year, and she's still out there battling, doing everything she can, but very tough time for her personally.
She said last week she struck out to qualify to make the top 24, and it seemed to break the ice for her mentally to get back into bowling.
And opens up with a tough break to start, 5-7. Left standing on lane 20, but the ladies had to shoot quite a few of these throughout the week.
She'll want to move a little farther left with her feet, send the ball a little bit farther right, hit right of that 5-pin, throw it right into the 7.
Well, it sounded easy enough.
Looks good. Oh, my.
Very close.
Very close.
Missing by a fraction. But if you're Tish Johnson, you're thinking, aha, and open in the first frame. That's what I was looking for. Kind of weak, though, Leila, where you're going to have some open frames, so you have to forget about frame number 1 and move on to frame number 2.
You bet, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Whoever catches a double, I mean, you're just never out of a match at this point. I don't think we are going to see any 279 shot, and that was Donna Adamek's high game this week, 279. Her low game, 157. On the other hand, Tish Johnson's high game was 248. Her low game was 150.
Donna with an 18-6 match play record this week, the best of anybody in the top 24. And she is in search of her 20th career championship. That is a lot of wins.
Actually averaging very high on this pair, Denny, too. She averaged 214.
Yeah, the 5-lady field only averaged 201.8 combined on this championship round pair. Our top seed, Carol Giannotti, had the best average. She was 220 plus, but Anne-Marie had only averaged 172.
Tish finishing 6th last week, just missing out the telecast, came right down to the last frame. Stacy Ryder beat her out for that 5th position. Mentioned on her way to Alexandria, she broke down in her motorhome, spent 4 days in a town called Mescal, Arizona. She said there's not much there.
But got plenty of rest, watched a lot of movies, relaxed, went to bed early every night. I mean, it was probably refreshing. Then again, 4 days, well...
That's a little long.
Yeah.
Oh, well...
Well, not the way you want to convert the 2-7, but it brings a round of applause nonetheless.
It's a spare. It looks all the same on the board.
Tish by 10 as she steps up now in the 3rd frame.
Usually, maybe you'd like to go between the 2 and the 7. However, Tish will take it this way, just right at the 2.
As I mentioned previously, though, anything cross lane, you have to be very careful with. The ball is going to hook early. There's just no question about it. Beautiful shot here on the left-hand lane. Could it be advantage Johnson, Leila, with the fact that she's already had at least 1 game under the lights on this particular pair of lanes?
Well, I think so, Denny. Also, we mentioned the momentum. Tish right now wants to win again. She's just very pumped up. She's made a number of appearances so far this year, 4 to be exact. This is her 5th one, and she wants to be Bowler of the Year again.
She has a foot up on everyone because she's already captured the United States Open. Light hit. How about a shaker? Donna finally says, okay, I'll take that one.
You have to be able to trust it out here, too, Denny, and if you set it short, the ball will hook left. Why the players are playing in so deep is they are trying to find that oil line, trying to bump their ball up against the oil.
Donna Adamek looking to throw a double here and tie this match in the early stages. She does not want to let Tish Johnson get out and start to freewheel it.
Nice angle here to see exactly where her ball's going, right between the 4th and 5th arrow. These players are playing extremely deep.
And another excellent light hit for Donna Adamek, who doubles up.
The key, too, Denny, is to be able to play inside that deep and still get the ball to react and hit hard in the back end. Carrying the light hit there.
And the light hit from the fourth arrow is a whole lot different than the light hit from about the 5 board. And we see another minor cave-in. So both these players, you may not feel it at home, but are throwing very solid shots to get that ball to react in the last 4 or 5 feet.
Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Buckets are easier to pick up than 4 6s, and these players have to at least trust it. They've got a little swing area in there because it is very dry in that part of the lane. Looking again for the light hit.
For a moment, the 5-pin was deadlocked. Something took that out. Might have been the head pin. Tish was hoping for a strike, but I think deep down inside, she's thrilled that the 5 isn't joining the 10. Both players have a double in this one. Nikki Giannoulias is next in line, our top seed this week, a talented player from down under, Carol Giannotti. And although not happy with the 9-pin spare, Tish will take it. She leads by 9 as Donna now steps up with a double in the 5th frame.
Donna's last title came in Delaware last year in October 1991. She had a very good fall season. Started out this year, finished 3rd in Hemet. Said she was pretty much bowling on emotion the last couple weeks of our winter tour.
Classy shot there. A 3-bagger. One more, and she leads by 11.
Tish Johnson with her own battery-powered hair dryer. Look at that little fan.
It's a hand dryer, actually.
I meant hand dryer, yeah. Hair dryer.
Although you could probably
That's
do your hair with
great.
that if you wanted to.
I have to ask her where she got that.
The windblown look. That's for those who do not necessarily want to be around smokers.
Oh, well, yes, you're
That's what
right.
they are.
I've seen those.
Yep.
Well, hey, whatever works out there. You got to do what you got to do to win, right?
I'd say that's pretty inventive myself, to go out and get one of those just to make sure that you don't have any trouble keeping your hand dry.
I never would have thought of it.
Looking for the 4-bagger. And she gets it. Donna Adamek charging to the forefront here, leads by 11, courtesy of strikes in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. We'll be right back to New Orleans after this. Just in time to see Tish walk back from a strike in the 7th, but she left the 5-10 in the 6th and opened.
Carrying a light shot on this lane. Now, Tish is using 2 different balls on 19 and 20. She's using a shinier surface bowling ball on 19. Apparently, 19 is hooking more for her, or hooking earlier in the first 15 feet. On lane 20, she's using a duller surface bowling ball.
And it wasn't uncommon for our professionals to use a couple of different balls on different lanes, different pairs of lanes this week. Donna looks in disbelief, like how could that one not strike? But the 4-bagger ends in the 7th frame.
Donna really one of the players that told me she felt that each lane and the pairs of lanes were very different. She thought this is why she was so successful. She was able to make the changes quickly. She said, I'm sharp right now, and when I am sharp, I'm able to go to a ball that I know will work.
You have to be sharp, and I think one of the things that really helps Thule, Isla, is you have to be the type of player that's able, in the first shot of each particular lane that you're heading to, where you throw a quality shot so you get a quick read on what that lane's doing so you can make the adjustment.
Exactly. If you end up wasting those 2 shots, you're already in the 3rd or 4th frame, and you know a good quarter of the game is gone.
If you don't throw a good shot, then how do you adjust on the next time over? So that's
Exactly.
really key. Fan is off. The heat is on. 23-pin lead now in the 8th for Donna Adamek, who would like to end this one early. That's inside her target. I was going to say, if that one didn't hit the nose, I would be shocked. But she leaves the 6-pin.
Getting a good break that only the 6-pin is standing. She mentioned inside her target, really turned the ball early, right over the 5th board. or fifth arrow. I mean, that's the 25th board on the lane.
I was going to say, that's
Deep.
that's missing by almost an arrow, I think. Although she's probably playing, what, about 22, 23?
Exactly. She's playing about 22, 23, but the projection is a little farther right. And you could hit 22, 23, but your projection could be a little bit tighter.
Tish Johnson still has room for 234. Donna Adamek could shoot 236. Ah, yes, here she comes. Going to make things interesting here for Donna Adamek.
No 5-7 on that shot.
Sawed him right off, down by 12. A strike here in the 9th frame pulls her back to within 2 pins of Donna Adamek.
Well, there's a happy medium with the way the players hit the ball, Denny. If they actually hit it too soon, come around it a little bit too much, then they get that early hook. If they can try to flatten it out a little bit, they'll get the ball straighter through the first 15 feet, but it's going to hit harder in the back end, or hit not as hard in the back end.
Not sure if that was timeout or a technical foul for the 7-pin.
Right here, you can see the pin action, the head pin coming off, getting the 6-pin and the 10. What pin was that? They got the 7.
7-pin wiggled for a moment. Now it wiggles again after Tish takes care of it in the 9th. A 13-pin lead, I should say, for Donna Adamek at this stage, and she still has room for 236. She'd like to get the foundation frame strike here in the 9th. Good projection. And that was as good a shot as you will see by any of our professionals here in the championship round.
4-time bowler of the year between the years of 1978 to 1982. She almost came up with those honors last year. Leanne Barrett just beating her out. Donna Adamek runner-up.
A spare an 8 here in the 10th frame, and she will move on to take on Nikki Giannoulias in the semifinal.
Very, very good position round, Denny. As it turned out, the top 3 places were only separated by 30 pins. Very, very close. Donna could have taken over the lead. Had a couple ringing 10s there in the position round. Carol Giannotti, on the other hand, did not have a good position round game, but as it worked out, Donna ended up 3rd, Carol Giannotti ended up 1st, and Nikki ended up qualifying 2nd.
That was a wild scramble there in game number 42.
And that's the kind we like to see. Also, Cindy Coburn Carroll was in 7th place, had a run for it as well.
Donna needing a spare an 8 to wrap things up. There's the spare. And 8 is no certainty on a condition like this.
You could hit the pocket and get 7.
Good point. And several players did throughout the week. That's brutal on your confidence, though, when you think you've thrown a really good shot. And I talked to a couple of players. They left some 5-9 7s and some 5-8 10s. Don't even want to think about those types of things. And nightmares. More speed. Uh-oh.
Well, it's 9.
That was 9 the hard way. And Tish says, hey, an excellent game, my friend. These are not easy here tonight.
Well, if you take a look at the scoreboard, Donna had an 8 count in the first frame. Other than that, she threw all 9s and strikes.
Consistent across the board. A strike for Tish. Too little, too late. Tish Johnson finishes 4th. Donna Adamek advances with a game of 2:15. When we come back, Leila will talk with our top seed, Carol Giannotti. A look at how things stacked up in this week's New Orleans Classic, as Carol Giannotti was in the top 6 all week long, but there was quite a bit of movement in the 4th round and also in the 5th round this week.
Nikki Giannoulias is really turning it on late yesterday in the 2nd round, or the 3rd round there, and made the move into the top 5.
A little different format where the ladies bowling 9 qualifying games in the first 2 rounds instead of 3 rounds of 6. And, of course, as Leila mentioned, our top 5 finalists have already bowled 8 games of match play here earlier today. So this is really the 2nd shift for the crew here in New Orleans this week.
A lot of times, Denny, it makes it easier to bowl in that type of format because you don't have all day just to sit around and think about what what you're going to do or contemplate your position in the tournament at that point.
All right, don't forget, coming up next, Top Rank Boxing live from the Blue Horizon in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Begins at 9 o'clock Eastern Time tonight. 2 outstanding 10-round bouts coming your way on Top Rank Boxing. And, of course, they'll be throwing the leather as soon as we are done here in New Orleans. But we've got 2 matches left to go. Nikki Giannoulias, our number 2 seed, will start the semifinal, and she'll bowl Donna Adamek.
It's been a long road for Nikki Giannoulias as she did win the Cambridge tournament in November along with Dell Ballard.
Tries to guide this one in and gets away with a shot and leaves just the 3-pin.
Nikki coming very close to quite a few shows towards the end of last year, but just missing out. She said, you know, I needed to make a few changes. And when she was doing so, she ended up throwing out her back, took her out of play for the first 3 events of 1992. Was unable to practice much, and she said, I'm just now getting back into the swing of things.
And she's a player that works diligently in her game. She does throw a lot of practice games when she's on the tour. Donna Adamek now 43-30 overall in her career, as you see the strike and spare breakdown on the championship round pair for Donna Adamek. Perhaps more importantly, from the number 3 position, she's now 16-5 in championship round play. So she likes being right in the middle of the step ladder as she opens with a strike here in the opening frame.
I think it has a tendency to relax Donna. She does not have to wait around, and I think about that just one game to go. I think Donna's a player that really comes up well from the lower positions in the championship round.
One thing that's astounding to me, though, is that where's Carol? She's not around here. Whisper this. The top seed, Leila, has not won this year. They are 0 for 7, so don't tell Carol, okay?
I won't tell Carol.
Okay, good. Keep it down. Because she might win. Isn't that amazing, though?
That is.
Number 2 seed has won 5 of 7.
Ooh.
So all you have to do is go to the Linda Kelly School of Championship Round Play, and you try and qualify second. Don't want to lead the tournament. Just finish second, win the semifinal game, and then go on and win the title.
Well, that's exactly what Linda Kelly said she wanted to do last week,
right.
And she did just that. Donna Adamek switching balls to shoot her 10 pins. Going to something that shinier surface, less friction, will not hook as much.
Plenty of skid. Skid roll hook. That's what you want. And a spare up in the second for Donna. Next week, Central Florida Classic down there in Winter Park, Florida. Get a little sun down there, huh?
You bet. I always associate Orlando with shopping and Mickey Mouse.
Well, I think that's pretty natural.
That's right.
In that order, though?
Yes,
okay,
definitely
right.
that order.
I was going to say that was probably the key phrase. Deep inside. Will it skid far enough?
Oh.
Nikki says, yeah, I think I can smile after that little errant shot. She was close, though, to being flush on that lane.
Flusher, leaving a flush big 4. Watch this ball get very high in the pocket, and 4, 6, 7, 10, all at the last minute go. Nikki Giannoulias is playing again deep. 17th board at 15 feet, 17th board at 27 feet. Her ball at 14 on the 45th board. 45th feet. I'll get those fifths and boards and feet all together here in a minute.
Better shot here. And a trip of the 4-pin. Nikki G grinding out a double in the early stages.
Well, Nikki deserves a few breaks, Denny. For those fans out there of Nikki's who have followed her career, they'll remember that dry spell she went, finishing second so many times before she was able to break it and actually win there in Houston. She really had some bad breaks on the telecast.
A stoic Donna Adamek trying to keep things going. Nice ball speed, a little more direct. I like the reaction that she has right now. Strike up in the third for Donna. She trails by 10 pins, but an X here in the fourth ties this matchup.
Donna Adamek playing the 18th board at 15 feet. Now, she is not as deep as Anne Marie was earlier. 17th board at 27 feet.
Needs a double to take this match to an even stage, and she gets it. And Nikki Giannoulias opts for a re-rack on the right-hand lane.
Beautiful. Right there, 5-pin washing out. By looking at that replay, Denny, and also watching the bowler's track, I am misreading the bowler's track. It's coming up off the left side. She's playing 23, which is 17, 18 off the left, especially on the left lane. So you have to reverse everything. It's confusing me because they are so deep. It's reading from the left to the right. And normally we read the bowler track from the right to the left. So both players playing around the 5th arrow, which is 15th board off the left side.
There you go.
Did I get that right now?
Yes, you did. Yeah, that's a little different way to look at it. This is the deepest I think I've ever seen them play on the ladies tour, and I've been doing their show 6 years.
Definitely. And it's even confusing to the bowler track because we can't get it to read. The 15th board there at 15 feet is actually the 3rd arrow, the 25th board counting from the right to the left.
Yep. Good shot. Nikki G, though, falling behind, trying to get loose, get a feel for this particular pair of lanes. She trails now by 2 pins as we head to the 5th frame.
Bowler of the Year in 1982, 1979 Rookie of the Year.
Well, between these two, Nikki and Donna Adamek, they've won almost $1 million bowling on the ladies tour. They are ranked 5th and 3rd, respectively, all time.
Well, in the early 80s, when Donna Adamek was actually the leading player on the tour, Nikki came out, and the two of them battled all the time.
All right, one of the Fazios on hand here tonight, a bowling family that goes back many, many years here in this great state of Louisiana.
John Fazio pretty much retired right now of the bowling business. I had an opportunity to talk to his son Dominique earlier, who is also in the audience. He's running the show.
He's presenting the check here this evening. High hit, 4-pin remains on lane 20, but the action is there. Donna Adamek right around the pocket. Little light, little high, sometimes flush. Not flirting with anything more than 9-pin spares. There we go. There's a second generation. Dominic, who will be handing out the cash here tonight when we're all finished.
You mentioned Donna staying right around the pocket, and that's making for good spare shooting, easy spare shooting, I should say. The single pins, keeping the ball right in play, not getting into too much trouble.
Could almost equate this to a golfer who is playing a reasonably difficult golf course, just getting the ball in the fairway and getting it on the green and making a lot of pars. And many times, par is an excellent score in golf, and it certainly is here tonight. Even par tonight, Leila, is 200. Without question, and our pros have really responded to the challenge. 3 of the 4 games have been over 200, with a high of 215 and a low of just 183. A little extra time here for the re-rack on lane 19.
Players are allowed 2 re-racks in the championship round, or per game in the championship round. If they'd like any more, they must consult with our tournament director, Wes Pye.
Brooklyn all the way. If you've noticed, Leila, the struggle shots for Donna have come on the left-hand lane. We'll develop that story when we come back. That ball was way left of target when it left, but Donna Adamek leads by 1, courtesy of a strike in the 6th frame. And during that last break, this was the shot in the 6th frame for Nikki.
Going deeper, but really not enough ball speed. The ball breaking too sharply. Did not project the ball quite far enough to the right. And a big ooh and ah from the crowd here as she just slides this 4-pin right behind the 6.
The open in the 6th, though, the telling tale. She trails by 13, and also keep in mind Donna is working on a strike in the 6th. Nikki Giannoulias is trying to get something started. Excellent shot. All right, that's the first step. Give me a strike. Let me sit down, clear my head. Maybe I can come back and double.
Donna Donna pretty much hitting lane 20.
Best finish in this event was 14th last year. Trying to go from 14th to 1st, if at all possible. Much more comfortable on the right-hand lane, without question. She's thrown almost every single shot in the pocket. Let's see what kind of a shot she throws on lane 19. A strike here gives her a 33-pin advantage.
Well, she really took advantage of that Brooklyn that she threw in the 6th frame, Denny. And I know you mentioned that you wanted to develop a little story here. Well, lane 19 does seem to be hooking quite a bit earlier. Tish Johnson was using a shiny ball on lane 19 and a duller surface on lane 20. Donna has gone left to the head pin a couple times on 19.
Well, let's see if she uses more speed or tries to get even deeper.
Deeper.
Better shot.
And still got the ball to hit. Wow.
Well, that lane hooks. I think if
Yes,
you can
it
get
does.
a little right, Leila, you're going to get a decent reaction. You may not strike, but it'll hook.
Well, they're creating their area, Denny, because they are getting so deep. Watch here at the arrows. The ball's got to be 25, 24. She's probably going out to 18. Well, the pocket's at 17, so she's going 19 at 27 feet, 15 at 45 feet. So she's going out to 15, and then the ball's just making a 2-board break back into the pocket. And this is the frame before. You can really see the difference in the line.
Nikki G changes balls on the right-hand lane, comes up with a strike. Boy, you have to admire the grit here because she pulled it out and said, listen, I got to gamble here. I've got to go with something that can strike.
I tell you, she did make a gutsy move, but she had nothing to lose. She trails by 23 pins right now, 33 prior to that shot.
She could shoot 236, but Donna could still shoot 259. So at this point, the 9th frame is the only frame Nikki needs to be concerned about. She has to strike right here.
All the players this week so far have had a low game in the 150s. Nikki Giannulli's low game 157, high game 278.
Needs this one to stay alive. And she gets it. Oh, nice comeback effort.
Really a professional move there by just up and picking up another ball and giving it all you've got. She had nothing to lose. Smashes the pocket here. Really puts the pressure now on Donna to perform in the 9th and 10th frame.
Donna with a 13-pin lead, but that could evaporate if she doesn't strike here. This has been her good lane. Continues to be.
Answers back.
That was a nice shot.
Very nice. Take a look at the scoreboard right there. She leads by 23, working on a 4-bagger. We thought there were going to be low scoring.
Well, you know, as I said before, I think what we're finding, though, is we have quality on the telecast in terms of players that are able to play across a lane. Once they get locked in, they're going to repeat the shots. It's just a question of finding the right equipment, the right speed, the right release.
Well, they're solid, they're sharp right now, and they are able to open up the lane. And we talk about it being a tough condition, but you can actually get in there and have a very nice condition if you open it up properly.
Whoa. Spare 9 is enough to win, but a strike there will pretty much send Nikki G home with a frown this week and a 3rd place finish.
She probably says if I would have only made that ball change 1 frame later, the 6th frame, if she would have struck that, would have given her a 5-bagger, had a little better opportunity to win this match.
You'd have told me that somebody was going to shoot 259 after watching the practice session about an hour and 15 minutes ago. I would have said, well, what would you like to wager on that possibility? But they have responded here tonight. I just wish that bowling in general, I'm talking about league play, juniors, professional, why can't we get this kind of a condition across the board in bowling? Why can't you have to make adjustments and shots and be accurate and be powerful if you can do that too, but not have to just crank the ball up and throw it right to become competitive on the national tour? Why can't we do that?
Well, I think I could get myself in trouble right now and say because we're spoiled and everybody likes to see high scores and everybody likes to throw high scores, including
Boring.
myself. So
Become complacent. Why would you practice when you've got 5 or 6 boards to hit? How hard do you have to practice to do that?
well, that's what the ABC and WIBC are out there trying to figure out
Yeah,
right
I hear
now.
you. Oh yeah.
And that's also why we have our own lane maintenance systems that are lane maintenance crews that come in and do our lanes. so we do get the variety of shots. We're not bowling on house conditions.
A smile from Nikki G, but it was not enough tonight. Donna Adamek using 9 strikes, including a 6-bagger to shoot 257. When we come back, we'll take a look at Midas Championship for
Carol Giannotti sure looks nervous, doesn't she? She's down there laughing, having a good time.
She is always laughing.
Employs the Sam Weiss School of Bowling. Get up and go as fast as you possibly can. Don't let the defenses come up and get set, as she rifles a shot on lane 19 and leaves a solid 10.
Very different game between these two players, Denny. Carol Giannotti going very straight through the front part of the lane, also very straight in the back end of the lane. She'll play more of that fade back shot. Donna Adamek, on the other hand, circling the ball a little bit more, crossing more boards.
24-year-old from Perth, Australia, opens with a spare.
Interesting note, these two players met for the title in Hammond, Indiana at that time. Carol Giannotti was top seed. She came out the winner of that match and the winner of that title.
Hence the 1-1 record after the heartbreaking loss to Wagner in DeSoto. Ooh, first time we've seen Donna miss on the right-hand lane in a considerable amount of time.
Well, the break, Denny, could be she got a little bit warm once again and did not get quite a good feel, did not get that good clean release. Came around it a little bit too much. Here you can see exactly where she hit. 18, I've got to figure it out. Well, from the left, that's 22. She hit 22. That's about right. That's about where she was hitting. Now it's where she projected it to. She was very consistent last game, playing right around anywhere from 22 to 24 at 15 feet. Her key shots were when she projected the ball out to 14 and 15 board. Those were the ones that she struck on.
Well, the good news is, though, Bowler Track doesn't discriminate whether you're left or right-handed. It just charts where the ball's going.
It's making me add and subtract is what it's doing.
A little mental exercise this evening. You'll get your arithmetic in as Donna Adamek decides that she didn't like what she saw in terms of the pins on spot on lane 19, so she exercises option number 1 for a re-rack. Tight line, good speed, and the first time that we have seen the real critical pocket split come from Donna.
Well, she did re-rack lane 19, whether the rack was off again or once again the ball's just deflecting in the back end, Denny. We have seen her topple the 5-8 quite a few times tonight where they have not gone out real strong. And it's very easy to leave an 8-10.
You make an interesting point. She might have re-racked, and then the second time around did not really like what she had. Have you ever re-racked twice in a row?
Oh, yes, during qualifying and match play. I can't say I have ever done it on the show. You can see there the 5-pin going right in front of the 8-pin. 5-pin normally goes back into the 8-pin.
I was going to say the reason why is because you only get 2 re-racks in the championship round. You might not want to burn 2 that quickly in the match.
Carol Giannotti coming right back with a re-rack also.
Of course, the great one, Harry Smith. Players used to kid him with the fact that he had developed callus on his bowling fingers and also on his index finger from the many times that he used a re-rack. Wry smile from Carol. She'll take the Brooklyn, not happy with it, but if she strikes here, she'll be thrilled that she struck on lane 19.
Well, the key is to take advantage of those breaks, capitalize on them. Donna did it last game. See here, Carol Giannotti actually cocking her wrist as she sets up, coming up a little high, almost tripping the 4.
I think the impression I get from Carol is good or bad, high scores or low scores. She has fun with the game of bowling. I don't think the professionals have nearly as much fun as they should.
Well, she also comes from Australia, and I think they just have a whole different attitude of life down there. I mean, really, they enjoy things differently than the Americans, and she comes over here with, this is great opportunity for her, and she's really taken advantage of it.
Donna Adamek with 19 career titles, and Carol Giannotti with 3.
See see if Donna can bounce back on lane 20. She does so perfectly.
I think you might have been right. Her speed maybe was just a touch slow after the long break in between the semifinal and the title match. Strike here cuts the lead to 3, though, as she'll step up in the 4th frame, down by 13. Hasn't been behind many times tonight.
No, she hasn't. She has jumped out into the lead and pretty much stayed there.
Applied the pressure early and then just held on to win, although she ran away from Nikki in the semifinal game.
Wow.
The dreaded 4-9. So you go from leaving the 8-10 to the 4-9, and you're probably looking at what, a board or two maybe here or there?
A speed board or two. The ball just coming in real high here, or I shouldn't say real high, coming in high. Going straight back, does not take out the 9 like it should. Bad breaks here now for Donna. She's really catching them all. We talked about the pocket splits.
Tried to make amends. And this ball does not get nearly far enough to the left to take out the 9. So an open frame, back-to-back on lane 19.
Carol Giannotti checking the rack, also re-racking again, shaking her head. Now she's used up her 2 racks on lane 20.
Well, you can see the head pin is obviously a little bit off spot to the left. Let's try this one. That's
Like
a little
that.
better.
Carol Giannotti not going home during the break. She spent the time with Stacy Ryder. The two of them practiced quite a bit. Actually good for both of them. Stacy Ryder making the telecast last week, Carol this week.
An excellent player that makes some quality adjustments at the line. Not a technically sound player in terms of mechanics, more of a field player, an athletic type player, but she does get the job done, and she's very competitive as well. And as soon as we are done here in New Orleans, we'll be joining the gentlemen in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Blue Horizon for Top Rank Boxing. A couple of 10-rounders on tap tonight, so you'll want to stay tuned. I think it's Barry and Al working tonight in Philadelphia. Good velocity, and the wall shot comes through as the 5-pin was the last to topple.
A big smile. Said, yeah, hey, when the ball deflects a little bit, you got to use that head pin off the wall to take care of the 5.
These two players are completely different. Donna Adamick.
Very serious.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, another thought popped into my head there momentarily, but Donna Adamick, a player that really is methodical, a perfectionist type player. And Carol, exactly the opposite. Freewheeler, get out there, get loose, just let me do this thing physically. And for the first time on lane 20, a 2.45 for Donna Adamick.
After coming off that big game last game, usually things do slow down a little bit. It's tough to keep up that pace. The pressure on to try to win that title match.
Donna trailing by 24 in the 5th, and this is a must spare.
That's exactly what she said.
Yes, sir. After shooting 257, we weren't lying to you about the conditions tonight. That's the game that she shot in the semifinal game. I'm going to say probably is the best game I've seen this year in the championship round by one of our players. Key now is, did it come a game too early?
Well, she needed almost every bit of that to beat Nikki, Denny. Nikki shot, what, 224?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was no time to slack off. Trying to get the momentum started again. This one hooks high. Now, all of a sudden, this pair of lanes looks like lanes 15 and 16 to Donna Adamick.
It's amazing. I cannot say that the lanes could have changed that drastically between the time she struck out to her first 2 frames in which she has gone 8-8 split. But, you know, when you leave the 8-10 and you leave the 4-9, then you mentally try to make some adjustments.
I could be mistaken, but I know she's changed balls on lane 19 as well for the strike shot. This one looks like it's hooking quite a bit more, so maybe her approach is a little bit different at this point in time. Trying to fit the 3 and the 10. Nosedive on the 3, another open frame. And this one getting ugly right now for Donna Adamick, who maybe felt like she could breeze into that title match, and if she got a quick start, could just bomb, Carol Giannotti.
Carol Giannotti also feeling very confident coming in. I had dinner with her and a bunch of the other players last night, and you know, she feels very good right now. Feels that she can win.
So far in 1992, she's third on the point list, or make that fourth rather, and with an average of 209.82 is fifth in overall average, ninth in the money, and 10th in match play. Had a stretch there in February that was very interesting. She was knocking down more pins than most of the players that were making it to the final 5, but she wasn't winning enough matches, so she's trying to change her philosophy a little there.
One of the top players this week to win the matches, finishing with 17 matches, and that was the key, I guess, to being in the top seed, because we saw other players like Anne-Marie only winning 12 matches.
Well, Anne-Marie out-averaged Carol Giannotti. Anne-Marie averaged over 205, so did Nikki. And Carol Giannotti averaged 204.5, and yet she's the tournament leader, courtesy of those bonus pins. You have to win matches if you want to qualify high on the professional tour.
Sending it right, ball skating on her, a little too far right. She is not able to get the ball back like players like Donna Adamek.
A slip of the left foot that time. Carol was fortunate that she didn't leave some kind of a washout on lane 19, although when she starts to get pumped up, she gets faster and faster and faster.
And when you get ahead of the ball like that, your ball is going to sail right, because you are not able to get the leverage and get the amount of rotation on the bowling ball.
Time to stop the bleeding right here for Donna Adamek. She's down by 36 in the 7th frame. If she could double here, she'll have a chance. Has to hurry. 2-4-5, a familiar sight, because that's what she left in the 5th frame.
Now she picked it up perfectly in the 5th frame. I would hate to want to shoot it twice in a game.
Yeah, once is more than enough. This game so dramatically different than the semifinal for her.
I would like to find out from her feelings on this game if we have time afterwards. Maybe we could chat with Donna, because I can't believe the difference in the condition, but we'll have to hear it from her.
Beautiful shot. Another conversion of the 2-4-5. Carol Giannotti looking at the score, realizing she's only... Another nosedive for Carol Giannotti. Fate, just like last week with Linda Kelly, could be playing a role tonight with Carol.
Exactly. Carol could be the first top seed to win so far in 92. Obviously, she did not hear you.
That's right. Whisper when you're saying that.
Well, I think she got a pretty good lead at this point, Daddy. She did come up high. She broke up the 4-7, 9-10, only to leave the 4-7. On the other hand, the breaks have not been going Donna's way.
Donna says, I will have some kind of a say-so in the 9th and 10th. If she strikes out, she could shoot 192, so Carol Giannotti not out of the woods at this point. Leads by 34 in the 9th frame.
But a smart thing, Denny, that Carol did is Donna has to finish on lane 19, and that has not been her good lane.
Aha! Now the 5-7 comes up, the eyebrows raised, push those glasses up, and she needs to make this.
The deflection of the ball right here, not taking out the 5. She needs to make this, or actually she breathes air right into Donna Adamek.
Well, count very important here, too. She needs at least 1 to get to 63, so if she'd strike out, that'd be 193, so she couldn't get closed out. Oh, the shot of the week for Carol Giannotti, who converts the 5-7 just when she needed it.
Pretty shot right here. Donna shot it earlier, almost made it. This time the 5 going right into the 7. I think Carol had an opportunity to shoot a few this week, too.
And the advantage to Giannotti, who goes much straighter, obviously easier to make the 5-7. Donna Adamek needs to strike out. Now she needs a Brooklyn. Now she needs the 7-pin to fall, and it won't. And the breaks just simply ran out for the Mighty Might in the championship game. But what a performance, winning 3 matches.
Best possible score Donna can shoot, 172.
All right, a spare in the ninth. Yeah, you're right. 172 would be it. And baby Alex, is this person related to you?
Yes, this is Alex Michael Fischbach, and
Okay.
he's 5 weeks old now. He's out here with me.
Did he get in for free?
No, actually, they charged
Did
him.
they? Charged him what, half price? How old is he? 5 weeks?
5
now?
weeks.
Wow.
He's
So there's
hitting
Alex
the
and
spring
Ryan.
tour. Alex and Ryan.
And
2 years
Ryan's
apart.
what, like 3?
2.
2.5. Oh, okay.
Just 2.
Oh, all right.
Not even the half. We're
So,
talking 2.
If you have 3 more, then you have your own bowling team.
I would, but I think 2's
Pardon me?
enough.
What?
I would, but
No,
I think
no.
2's enough.
8 is enough.
8 is enough.
2 is not enough.
I haven't seen you start on
I
any yet.
better talk to Marty. Well, I'd like to get married first before I get into all those different types of things.
Well, get on the ball.
Okay. Well. A subject for perhaps another show, maybe next week
Oh,
even.
possibly.
Yeah.
Tune in. Stay tuned.
You know we're in trouble, folks, when you talk about my marital status in a championship game. That means that the game is out of the wood, unfortunately, for Donna Adamek, as Carol Giannotti is the winner this week. And this was a strange turn of events. We had a great semifinal game, and Donna just lost all of her rhythm and timing and didn't have any feel for this pair of lanes.
Like you said, it appeared that she was bowling on 15 and 16, a whole different pair.
Yeah.
Almost 100 pins different from the last game, as she ended up with a 161. Carol Giannotti says, hey, thank you.
And the jinx is broken. And the reason why it was broken is because you and I whispered, and Carol did not know what was happening. The top seed is finally won on the Ladies National Tour here in 1992. Carol Giannotti, the winner of the New Orleans Classic, the 4th title for Carol Giannotti and the 1st of this season. The championship round finals of the $35,000 New Orleans Classic are being brought to you by Midas. For mufflers, brakes, and shocks, nobody beats Midas. Nobody. Classic winner, Carol Giannotti, with a 182-161 victory over Donna Adamek. And to her left, Dominic Fazio, the proprietor of Fazio's Rainbow Lanes, and then Drew Perrette, the popular general manager, clad in the tuxedo this evening. To the right, geez, we're going to have to pan up, perhaps, if we want to see the rest of that trophy. We'll be back to wrap things up, just like Carol did a couple of minutes ago.